Welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast. This is Kevin White, Deputy AD at Clemson University. My thoughts on leadership. We help establish the vision of the organization. As a leader, we try to embed a sense of purpose into the heart and soul of each employee, inspiring them to internalize their purpose and their role and responsibility to our organization. I strive to empower people to walk with me together as a team instead of behind me. Being a part of the NCAA Leadership Institute allowed me to understand who I was as a leader and also to further develop my skills at bringing people together to accomplish a shared set of goals. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the episode.
Greetings, this is Ty Brown, and welcome to the One Question Leadership Podcast, where we highlight executive leadership in college athletics. Our guest today is Joseph Walters. Joseph is the Deputy Director of Athletics for External Affairs and Chief Revenue Officer at Hampton University. This interview was recorded at the 2024 DACTA Convention. Take a listen.
Greetings, Joseph. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Ty. I appreciate it.
Glad to have you on. We're almost 2 years in a row. What I understand is your background is video production or something like that, right?
Correct.
Tell me what you did when you started off in the industry.
So I went to Hampton for broadcast journalism. When I left, I was working in journalism part-time, doing more so behind the scenes, directing, producing for local television shows. And I ended up meeting my business partner, who later became my wife. We both had a passion for journalism and broadcast and production and telling stories. So, we did that while we were still working, full-time jobs. I worked in corporate America for 10 and a half years. And in 2016, I decided, hey, I can probably branch out on my own, do my own thing, and ran the production company full time. So I did that. I've written, I've directed, produced, done live events, documentaries, you name it. I've shot it, and simultaneously I was working at Hampton. They were one of my contracts. So I was able to kind of build relationship with the folks in athletics, and I started doing color commentary for men's and women's basketball. And eventually a role opened up for me to be able to go back to my alma mater and work in the athletics department with pretty much all the skills that I built over the last 20 years or so.
That's excellent. Was there a primary type of video production that you did more often than not?
No, man. Anything that people needed.
You're going to pay me, we're going to do it, right?
You're going to pay me, we're going to do it. I think
hilarious.
the biggest thing that I did, and probably one of the most scariest projects that I worked on, was when Pharrell bought Something in the Water to Virginia Beach. I hired, it was an all-black production crew, and we produced all the conversations that they had over a 2-day period. So we were in the Virginia Beach Convention Center. Everyone's mic'd up. We got the stage up, and we got like superstars from around the world on stage that we're working with. I tried to minimize it as much as I could so I didn't get nervous, and it was great. I mean, we killed it. And then, when it was done, reflecting on it, it was like, dang, we really just did something
that
in the water.
Yeah.
That's nice.
No, that's excellent. And then what was the corporate job for 10 years?
So I was an online advertising executive for Dominion Enterprises, and they owned a very small company called RV Trader. So if you know Auto Trader, Boat Trader, it's under that Trader family of brands. So I worked for RV Trader doing account management. I was kind of managing the people that were advertising with us. I was upselling them, making recommendations, kind of, counseling them on how to grow their businesses online. That was fun. I would say that was my business administration grad school, except I got paid to do it.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot, and I enjoyed my time there.
No, that's excellent. So then you come into Hampton and you get approached about a position in development. Did you get approached about it, or was it something you saw that you might want to do?
So it was something I saw that I might want to do. I never really thought I would ever work at Hampton. In just building that rapport and seeing the need, it was like, full transparency, I ended up having ACL surgery, which kind of took me down from production. And in the meantime, I still had bills that I needed to pay. So I was like, I kind of need another job. Let me see what I can do at Hampton. I talked to a couple folks over there, and they said, you know what? We need somebody to do development work. So when I got there, this is a 6-7 person team right now. Like that's literally it running the department. So let me see what I can do in using my skills to be able to help us to the best of my ability. And I started to like it a lot. And when I think back about it, if I would have been introduced to athletics prior to me going into production, I probably would have never done
Really?
production. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's this. So you lead a team.
It's me.
It's just you.
It's me. Yeah.
So you, without the production background though, having an eye for what needs to be done, even telling the story of student athletes or of athletics so that we can bring this, you would have got there, but I imagine that background helps you out now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the biggest thing that I learned as a journalist was how to tell a story. I'd done print journalism. I'd been an on-air personality before. Behind the scenes is where I think I flourished the most because I think that's where you get to be the most creative. In doing that, that's where you learn how to tell stories. And I think working on a documentary, like one of the very first documentaries I worked on, it won an award with HBO. So in working on that documentary, I further learned how to tell a great story. And I think that's what helps me to kind of speak to our investors and tell them, hey, this is what it is that we're doing. This is what our student athletes need. And this is where we're going. And we want you to be a part of that journey with us. And it helps me in creating that story.
Yeah. Tell me about that aspect. We're almost 2 years in, right?
Yeah.
So almost 2 years ago, when you come on, you go through the process, you get hired, you're on board, you understand how the business works and what we have to do. Then you call first owner, or you're at an event and you got to sit down and talk to somebody and talk about these relationships and start telling these stories. Tell me about how that worked when you first started.
So with me being familiar with Hampton,
Yeah.
as an alum, it was kind of easy for me to come in and, right off the bat, just start talking to folks about the university, me seeing what it was that we needed. It was very easy to have that conversation. I think the hardest part of it was trying to internally get some of the folks to work with me in changing what it was that we were doing to catch up to where we are now and move into the future into what athletics is going to look like. So one of the stories I tell folks is when I got there, I looked at our sponsorship packages, right? And I mean, they were the prices were very low. And I'm like, me coming from a business background, we here to make money, right?
Yeah.
So I went in, I changed all of the sponsorship prices, and I took it to the lady that was doing sponsorships before me. I said, hey, what do you think about these? And she's like, oh, you'll never sell any of these.
Really?
She wasn't saying it not being supportive. It was just one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. So I took what she said with a grain of salt. And I went out. I sold 4 of the packages that I created and brought it back. And it was like, wow, okay. So maybe there is value in what it is that we're doing here as a department and as a university. And so we've just been building upon that.
So tell me about the overlap of advancement and sponsorship. I guess it's just revenue generation. So tell me how that overlaps.
So when I first got there, I didn't really know much about fundraising because my strength was in building business. So I focused the majority of my focus, and when I say majority, I mean like 80-90% of my focus was on sponsorships. Let me sell sponsorships. Let me sell title sponsorships. Let me sell single game sponsorships. Let me just bring that revenue in because I don't really know how to raise money, right? Fast forward to now, we've got a new AD, and there is a completely different company doing sponsorships for us. So now I get to focus on the philanthropic portion of my job, which is 100% of what I should be doing anyway. And being in, foundations of athletic development, dealing with my colleagues in the CAA right now, just learning from them has helped me become a better fundraiser. And now I actually know what I'm doing and know what I'm talking about when I'm going to see our investors.
Has there, you mentioned the Pharrell event, and you had nervousness because this is a big Pharrell event, and we sold people doing producing the event at the video. Has there been a moment like that in the last couple of years in terms of advancement or?
I don't think so.
Okay.
When I look at my position and I look at what I have to do, I always try to minimize whatever the work is so I don't get too nervous, right? because if I think about it too much, I'm going to get in my head, then I'm going to mess up, and then it's just not going to be good. I think one of the biggest things that I've worked on recently is our coaches caravan and trying to make sure that that goes off the way that we need it to. So we've got 3 regions that we're going to. The first region is done, which was New York, Philadelphia, and DC, and just trying to make sure that our alum were engaged coming out. They had a great time, and hearing the feedback, I achieved that goal. So that was good to go. And then I guess the next biggest thing outside of that was being able to receive a transformational gift and kind of see that through to make sure that, hey, this money went where it was supposed to go. The gifter or the investor realizes that their gift was treasured and that we are making the best of their gift. So to date, we're good with that, and I think those are probably the 2 biggest things right now.
Yeah, that's excellent. Was this person someone who gave that type of gift before?
So no. So it was actually a regional bank.
Oh, okay,
in the Hampton Roads area, and this was the largest gift that they'd ever given to an HBCU. So we had to make sure that number one, everything was in order, because obviously we're going to go back when that term is up and ask for more money. But we had to make sure that everything was in order. We had to make sure that we were very transparent about, how we were spending those funds, which they actually helped us with a stadium upgrade. So they provide now. Our stadium didn't have premium seating, but now we have a trophy suite, which is the Town Bank Club. And that is our trophy. That is our premium seating. So it's an enclosed space, nice, nice enclosed area, nice seats. There's food, beverage inside. There's a little rooftop deck that you can go stand out on, watch the game if you want to. So, yeah, they have been the biggest supporters of us financially thus far, but they are also holding us accountable and making sure that we're operating at a high quality too.
But you want people to do that, right? Which is important. So that falls under advancement.
Mm-hmm.
Because from the outside looking in, that sounds like a sponsorship opportunity.
Right.
So explain that to me.
Right. So sponsorship opportunities, those are a company can probably write those off, right? That's like something that is, hey, we are paying you to display our signage, to we want you to fulfill whatever that sponsorship obligation is,
whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. With a gift, it's literally hey, we're giving you this money. We can put whatever terms we want within the gift agreement, but at the end, this is a partnership that we have with you for the long run, and we don't necessarily get anything in return for it. However, they did get the naming rights to the trophy suite. Yeah.
So when something like that comes in, does the play fly, do they feel like they should be involved in something like that? Because there are schools where that would fall under that type of situation. So talk to me about with the naming part, part of, you know what I mean? So talk to me about that.
Yeah, no. So the way that we have our foundation set up is if you give a certain amount of money. So I believe it's $100,000 is where naming rights start for us. If you gift us $100,000 and up, depending on how much that is, then you'll be able to put your name on something.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think what's confusing me is that it's a commercial business. I think that's where I'm getting confused about it. Yeah.
Even though it's a commercial business, it's still a gift that they gave to us. Yeah.
100%.
So we're able to count that, under the foundation versus it being a sponsorship.
Because you guys also use it to upgrade a little bit of facilities. Yeah.
Correct.
I think that's excellent. And is that outcome, is that it's a relationship that existed already? You say because they were biggest. Is the idea of what you use it for, were you heavily involved in that in terms of maybe we could use it to upgrade the facilities? Or maybe,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our previous facility guys, he came to me and said, hey, we need to look at getting a trophy suite for the stadium. And at the time that he brought it, it wasn't the right time for the university. It cost a pretty penny, but we waited about a year, and that company ended up needing to liquidate some of their assets, and we just happened to be a beneficiary of it. At the same time, that's when we were working on that gift, and it was like, all right, so this is what we can do to make sure that the amount that we're asking for is, it's complementary to what it is that we're going to be giving. And it just worked out for us.
I'll ask you a question here and then we can wrap because we both have to go, but I love this conversation. We'll follow up at some point in the near future.
Okay.
The question I want to ask about is in this development space that you're operating in, where do you feel like you want to improve? What areas of the development industry in terms of college athletics do you want to lean in more so that you can get better at specifically?
I think being able to be more proactive in my outreach to our investors and the people that are invested in our athletics department. I think because it's a team of one right now in our advancement department. The energy is so new. We've got a new president. He's been there. He'll be there 2 years in July. We've got a new AD. He's been there a year and some change. So with all of this newness, it's generated new energy with our alumni and our supporters in the community. And so now I'm just like every day I'm getting slammed with people wanting to see how they can help out. And I love it. Like, this is a great problem to have, but at the same time, at some point, I want to stop playing defense. I want to be on offense. Just because I feel like when I'm being on offense and I'm reaching out, it makes people feel like, oh, hey, you're thinking about me, versus them always reaching out to me and me feeling like I'm always just taking money once you reach out, So I want the relationships to be reciprocal. I do know that at some particular point, our relationships are going to have to change from transactional to transformational. But I need to be able to, like I said, play offense so that I can build those relationships, which I've been able to do a little bit, but I can do a lot better job at that.
Yeah, I think that's excellent. Well, Joseph, this has been a great conversation. We'll definitely follow up at some point in the future. I really appreciate you joining us here on One Question Leadership Podcast.
Yeah. Thank you, Ty. I appreciate you for having me.
Yes, sir. That was Joseph Walters. He's the Deputy Director of Athletics for External Affairs and Chief Revenue Officer at Hampton University. And of course, I am Tai Brown with one question. And keep in mind, the role of a leader is to create and maintain an environment that people want to be a part of. And as always, be better tomorrow than you are today. This episode of the One Question Leadership Podcast is produced by Spades Media Group, solving problems using creative leadership.